Hi friends, Starry, and we're going into winter, which means it's time to prep your green stalk containers. Yes, I love these containers because now I can have greens throughout the winter. And many of the things that I started in this garden, I also continue to grow throughout the winter in my green stalk containers. So now this is how I prep my green stalk containers for winter, because what's going to happen is these containers, I'm going to be growing beautiful greens, right? Beautiful greens throughout the winter. And what I'm going to be doing is moving them sooner or later from the greenhouse into my apartment. So there's a little bit different approach when it comes to winter growing. I'm not going to be, like I did this summer, using these now outdoors anymore, and that means I will not need the garden soil in here anymore. You know, the green stalk containers are great because I use them outside, I can stack them, I can leave them open like this in pods, and I use the garden soil, and it works really well. I grow abundant produce. But in the winter, what you want to do is take out that soil and start anew. And now during the wintertime, you will be replacing that soil with bagged organic soil from the garden center. Now, one of the potting soils that I recommend is this black gold. It's from Sungrow. And, you know, if you have another brand, it's really maybe not about the brand, but it's really about making sure that it is a potting mix plus fertilizer, because over the winter time you are going to want to feed your plants in your green stalk. And you can see how beautiful my plants so far in my green stalk are doing. Look at that. They're green. They're still very lush. And look, this actually came right out of my garden. So you can still grow your garden vegetables in your greens from your green stalk throughout the winter. But if you're starting from scratch, what I recommend is to take all that soil out and now replace it with something that's going to be a little bit more appropriate and is going to have some fertilizer in it, because throughout the winter time you will have to feed those plants, even with your green stalk. With my green stalk for the wintertime, what I do to prep my container is I will fill the bottom with wood chips. Now, if you don't have wood chips, what I would recommend is something light and airy that is going to drain well. And then I put in my potting soil. And remember, the green stalk containers are very, very deep. So that's why it's important to fill up that bottom with a lot of wood chips so you're not wasting a lot of soil. And then you can pick just a variety of your winter greens. And, you know, there are so many different winter greens out there. I like to grow a lot of herbs during the winter time just because I dry a lot. And I love to restock my pantry, and it's a great time to grow the herbs. But there's also things like your Swiss chard and your kale, and you can even do broccoli. There's so much. And you can even experiment. Like you can grow beets and some of your root vegetables in the green stalk containers. Don't be afraid to experiment. So after I get my seeds planted, then, you know, water them and let them get established. Now, if you have a greenhouse like I have, again, I will keep my green stalk in the greenhouse as long as I can, as long as the weather permits, because you know what? The greenhouse really is a great place to continue your season if you have privy to one. But again, if you don't have a greenhouse like I have here, and you know, back on the old homestead, I didn't have a greenhouse. What do? Well, you just plant your seed and you wait for those plants to start growing up a little bit, and then you stack the containers on top of each other. And the great thing is you save so much space. You have this great tower of food growing in your apartment or in your tiny house or in your limited space house. Just find a window where it's going to get good sunlight during the winter time and grow away. keep growing. And these containers are movable, stackable, and they're self-watering. And remember, if you don't have one yet, get one. I have a code. I've been working with these people for a long, long time. I just have so much faith in this green stalk containers, and that's why I really advocate them, simply because I use them, and I think they're the best homesteading tool for gardening for people who don't have gardens. It makes you be able to have the freedom to homestead anywhere. It's pretty cool. All right, my friends.